Today we're going to talk about the reason why we need to know the parts of speech and know how to break up the grammatical parts of a sentence. The human body is made up of different parts. The most important part of the body is the skeleton, and without the skeleton we would all just be globs of goo sliding along like snails. The skeleton is made up of 4 basic parts: bones, muscles, tendons, and ligaments. The bones create structure, muscles allow us to move, ligaments hold 2 bones together, and tendons connect bones to muscle. So what? Well, there are so many cool similarities between our bodies and language. Verbs are the muscles of language. Verbs give the motion, and the brain is the biggest muscle of all. Ligaments are like conjunctions, connecting clauses with nouns and verbs together. Tendons are like prepositions, connecting a noun phrase to a clause. The fundamental building blocks of language, though, are the nouns. Like the bones of a skeleton, nouns give a sentence its structure. So why should we care about the parts of speech? The simplest and most important answer is for reading. The quickest way to learn vocabulary is to read. Unfortunately, too many students make reading painfully slow by stopping every 2 or 3 words to check a dictionary, which is not a good idea and is very time-consuming. So, what you need to think about is this. In order to learn a language, you need to know 2 things: vocabulary and grammar. Without a large vocabulary, knowing the most beautiful grammatical structures is useless. The best way to learn vocabulary is to learn how to guess the meaning from context. To guess the meaning, the first thing you need to know is the words part of speech. Once you understand parts of speech, you can look at any word in any sentence in any book written in the English language and identify its part of speech within a few seconds. You need to know the difference between parts of speech and how to use them. Make sure your statements are complete and make sure you have connecting words where you need them. Of course, there will be mistakes, but the mistakes will be smaller mistakes that people can figure out and still understand what you are trying to say. There will be few global errors that make understanding very difficult. So, parts of speech is very important. For you to write correctly, for you to write where people can understand, you have to know what every part of the sentence means. So get out your composition notebook and let's take some notes over parts of speech. Open up your notebook to page 3 and let's look at our review. This is nothing but a review of years past, so this should go very quickly for you. And once we review, this should be pretty easy to find in sentences. Okay, the very first thing that we're going to talk about right now would be your nouns. Nouns, we're going to write down on the part that's glued, we're going to write the definition, and on the flap, we're going to write the examples. So a noun, they are words that name people, places, things, and ideas. An example would be man, which is a person, museum is a place, leash, which is a thing, and love is an idea. The next thing, verbs. Now, verbs are words that express an action or state of being. You have 3 kinds of verbs. You have action verbs, state of being verbs, which are also called linking verbs, and helping verbs. We'll get into those later. However, action verbs, some would be jump, sing, and hide. State of being verbs, although there are several, I just named 6. Am, is, are, was, were, and seen. State of being verbs are just like linking verbs. The next part of speech would be adjectives. Now, adjectives are describing words, words that modify nouns or pronouns. If we did not have adjectives, we'd have a really hard time trying to find things, such as my dog. Where's my dog? Well, which dog? What dog are you talking about? So adjectives help us identify specifically the noun. So we have pretty, brown, lazy, and awesome as just a few of some adjectives. The next part of speech we have are adverbs. Now, adverbs are words that modify verbs or other adverbs. There are some questions you can ask yourself, such as how, why, when, to what extent, under what condition. One thing you can remember is that most adverbs end in ly. Not all of them, but most of them. Some examples are quickly, softly. Here are some that do not end in ly. Always, never, very, and to. Next, we have prepositions. Now, prepositions give location or direction of an object. Whenever you lose something, you may hear of someone ask you, well, did you look in the drawer? Did you look under the drawer? Did you look above the drawer? So without prepositions, we wouldn't be able to find what we're looking for. So prepositions are very important. Prepositions are words that show a relationship between a noun or pronoun and another word in the sentence. Although there are 52 prepositions, I believe, I only named a few. An example that we have here, it would be in, about, out of, near, under, below, and to. Then we have conjunctions. Conjunctions join words, phrases, and clauses to other parts of the sentence. So conjunctions are words that join other words or groups of words together. Although there are coordinating conjunctions, correlative conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, I just went ahead and put down the coordinating ones, which are the ones we use to make compound sentences. We have our fanboys, which are very popular. We have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Then our last part of speech that we have are going to be your interjections. Interjections are words used to express emotion or excitement. Now, even though interjections are mostly punctuated with an exclamation point, you can use a comma whenever you're adding it to the rest of the sentence, especially if it begins it, or you can end it with a period. It just depends on how you want it to be read, with excitement or just in a normal tone of voice. Okay, so here are your basic parts of speech review. This will come in very handy throughout the year, so you really need to know all of your parts of speech. Now, this past week, I passed out a part of speech list. And this part of speech list, I refer to it a lot as the green sheet. And this is a very important piece of information for my class. I almost call it like my Bible for English. If you will look right here, you have commonly used prepositions. You have compound prepositions. Here are your linking verbs, which also can be referred to as state of being verbs sometimes. And here we have some common helping verbs. I believe Mrs. Marshall taught you the common helping words to a song or to a little jingle. So make sure you know that. That would help. Here are some adverbs. Again, most adverbs end in ly. Not all of them, though. Here are some conjunctions. Right here we have some conjunctive adverbs, and we'll talk about those in great detail as the year goes on. Then we have some pronouns, relative pronouns, and then we have some subordinating conjunctions, which you heard me talk about earlier. Here are some adjectives. Now, adjectives have 3 questions you can ask yourself. Which one, what kind, and how many? And then we have some adverbs. The questions for adverbs would be when, where, why, how, to what extent, and under what condition. So this green sheet is a very important piece of paper that can definitely go with you all the way into college, honestly. So hopefully you've got a good idea or a good review of the parts of speech so that we can apply it in class and throughout the rest of the year.